Zoom recording. All right, so once again, the topic for today is on social mobility and poverty and inequality. Okay, but before we go there, let's just recap a little bit. Where in all societies, there are some group within the population who are of higher status or having more status than the other, have more power, more prestige, compared and also privileges compared to other people in the society, right? And the position can either be ascribed, ascribed to, in other words, you're born with it, or given at birth. Contoh ascribe positions adalah seperti anak raja, ya, who got a position through birth. Ya, dilahirkan sebagai the son or daughter of a king, ya, in a country, ataupun anak sultan dan sebagainya. The other way that people achieve position is through achievement, right? In other words, it's not ascribed, but through their achievement, what they do in life, what they have achieved in life. Yeah. So this differentiation can also be explained by the fact that society is not completely homogeneous. Yeah, not homogeneous, meaning there are a lot of differences between people, yeah, in the society. So then they differ not only in terms of their age, but they also differ in terms of the gender, race, ethnic group, class, and also occupation. There's so many ways of classifying people and also trying to differentiate between the different levels, yeah, or positions within the society. Okay. And we have seen also earlier on that the socio-economic status or economy actually plays a very important role in determining the status ataupun the class within the society, whether you belong to the top level or the lower level or the middle level. Yeah. Remember our the modern class structure. Yeah, the top people who top earners, the lower structure, lower groups are those who have less income, and the middle groups are those who earns good income but less than the top level. Yeah. So when we talk about social mobility, we are actually referring to the movement of individuals or group within the different positions, yeah, socio-economic positions, right? Moving either down or up. So it is defined as the movement individuals ataupun family, maupun household, or even other categories of people within or between layers, yeah, between the different levels or tiers in an open system of social stratification. Okay. So social mobility refers to the change, also refers to the change in wealth and social status of individuals or families. Yeah. So it may also refer to the changes in the health status of an individual or person, the literacy rate, the education, or other variables among groups, yeah, such as classes, ethnic groups, or countries. Jadi there are several, in other words, there are several ways that one can achieve different levels of social status. Yeah. So it could be economic, it could be social, it could be through education, and so on and so forth. Okay. Orang yang sehat pun boleh mempunyai status yang lebih tinggi daripada yang kurang sehat, sebagai contoh. Right. So There are a few types of social mobility. Okay, the first one is known as the vertical mobility. Vertical meaning up and down. And then the other type of mobility is known as lateral or horizontal mobility. And the third one is intragenerational mobility, upward. I mean, mobility upward, but it's within the same generation. I'll explain more on this later on. Yeah, and then the other one is the intergenerational mobility. In other words, between generation, going downward. Yeah, and structural mobility. So these are some of the classes or types of social mobility. Okay, let's look at the first one, yeah, the vertical mobility. So this is referring to the movement of up and down the social economic ladder. Yeah, whether you're going up if your income, for example, increases, yeah, then you may reach the next level, or based on certain social factors, you may also be able to achieve the higher social ladder as well, right? So upwardly mobile refers to those who become richer in property and also income as well as status. That's upward mobility or upwardly mobile. Yeah. On the other hand, there are people who move down. Yeah, downwardly mobile, moving in the opposite direction. Instead of going up, this person or group of people, in terms of their status, they go down. Right. So the amount of vertical mobility in a society, yeah, which is the major index of the degree of its openness. Yeah? Jadi some societies, I mean, in our case, we are our society is quite open. Yeah? But in some closed societies, I think I probably mentioned that a bit earlier on. For example, in the caste system, for example, in India, it's difficult for, if not impossible, for those who belongs to the lower class or lower caste to move up to the upper caste. Memang tak boleh berlaku. Yeah, that's where they maintain that kind of caste system. That is not an open system. Yeah. So, for example, I'm using Barack Obama, the former president of the United States of America. He rose up the ladder in a way from being a child of a middle class interracial couple. His father was from Kenya. Yeah, his mother was from the United States. Okay, so they are of mixed. He is the son of mixed marriages between a Kenyan father and American mother. So his rise from being a child of middle-class family to being the president of the United States of America, being the top of the world, if you will, yeah, if you will, talking about the persons, the leaders of the world, is a good example of an upward mobility. Okay, an upward mobility. Yeah, so of course there are other examples as well. For example, Bernie, I mean, talking about myself, I'm from, I could say I'm from a poor or lower class, yeah, poor family. When I was born, when I was small, that eventually climbing up the ladder more or less, yeah, and reaching where I am now today. probably middle class kind of status where I am now. Yeah, but how do I do that? Well, one is because of education. That's number one. Number two, related to that is income. Right. So that's a kind of upward mobility. So on the other hand, another person, also from the United States, Bernie Madoff, by the name of Bernie Madoff, he fell from being rich, yeah, from a very rich person, very powerful Wall Street executive, to a prison inmate, yeah, kena jail and so on, yeah, masuk penjara, and that's an example of downward mobility. I think you can think of, you probably know of local, examples in Malaysia, who may be facing or having gone through the same process as well. Yeah. So you can be on top, but at other times you may be at the bottom because of certain circumstances that you went through in life, for example. All right. So that's vertical mobility, upward and downward. Okay. In life, we always wish to achieve a higher level of social ladder, for example. Yeah, we want to be moving upward rather than downward. Okay. I mean, in business, I know a few cases, not only in Malaysia but throughout the world, where because of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people suffer as well. Yeah, from having lots of money to very little money. Yeah, no income and so on. Jadi itu boleh berlaku. Ya. Okay, so that's vertical mobility. Now, the next one is lateral mobility or horizontal mobility. This one refers to the movement from one position to another, yeah, within the same social level, same level, yeah, as when someone changes between two equally prestigious occupations, for example. Okay, so one could be, accountant, moving to another position, another occupation, yeah, maybe a branch manager, for example. In terms of the prestigious ataupun prestige-nya mungkin agak sama, yeah. So it's moving within the same level, right? So tahap agak sama dari segi social economic status, ya, income sama contohnya. Example, if a secretary become tired of their job, right? Sudah letih, dah lama sangat, right? And chooses to become a restaurant server, bekerja di restoran, berhenti bekerja di pejabat dan bekerja sebagai pembantu dekat restoran. This would be an example of horizontal mobility, yeah, whereby the positions occupy roughly the same rung in the social ladder, example, yeah. So it's a kind of horizontal mobility. Dia tak bergerak ke atas ataupun ke bawah, maintain at about the same level. Okay. All right. So lateral mobility ataupun horizontal mobility can be between regions as well. Yeah. Movement between neighbors, or between towns, or between regions. While as sometimes you could see actually vertical as well lateral mobility may be combined. Ya, boleh berlaku serentak. I mean, sometimes it's the reason lateral dengan horizontal itu mungkin ada beza sedikit, but otherwise it's about the same. Ya. It's just movement across to another place, another position. Yeah, it can be another neighborhood. Ya, jadi cikgu di apa nama di Sarawak, kemudian pergi ke Semenanjung, ya, mendapat pekerjaan yang lebih kurang sama. That could be a form of lateral mobility. So ataupun if you're talking about the same organization, it may be also form of horizontal mobility. Okay. So it can be a combination, yeah, a combination of vertical as well as lateral mobility as well. Maksudnya if you're moving from Sarawak or Sabah to Semenanjung, and then you get better salary, for example, then it's a form of vertical as well as lateral mobility. Ya, dua berlaku serentak. One, you're moving to another place, and then when you reach another place, you are also getting higher salary ataupun promotion lah. Ya, so that's a form of vertical and lateral mobility, berlaku serentak. Ya. Nah, itu banyak berlaku lah, banyak berlaku. Alright, so the next one is known as the intra-generational mobility. Intra-generational mobility. Hold on, let me correct the previous one just now. This one actually intergenerational downward, it can be upward as well. Yeah? Both of these, yeah, it can be upward, it can be downward. Yeah, intragenerational and also intergenerational. Yeah, depending on the situation. Okay. Okay, intragenerational mobility. This is where individual moving up or down the social scale in the course of their life ataupun their working life ataupun in their lifetime. Jadi mungkin boleh apa nama tu meningkat tahap apa nama sosioekonomi ataupun turun, ya, bergantung kepada keadaan. Business, for example, it can be up and down. So in good times, they may be doing well in their business, and so they can go up the ladder intra-generation within his lifetime. But if things don't go quite as well, he may just fall. Yeah, semua saham jatuh, whatever it is. Yeah, business, not doing well. So that can also happen. Yeah, bankrupt and all that. So that can bring you down. Yeah, within your own generation. Okay. So movement between social class in their lifetime. Yeah, dalam apa nama tu dalam, sorry, let me correct this. Let me move this. That's one. Yeah. Okay. So movement between social classes in one's lifetime, dalam kehidupan, ya, seseorang manusia in one's lifetime. And employee, for example, employee of a large corporation who starts in the mail room, ya, ataupun dalam sorting out mails, surat dan sebagainya, and who one day end up in high level management position, demonstrate ataupun satu contoh intragenerational mobility. Yeah, in other words, the person improve his or her status over his lifetime, over his working life, for example. Okay, from a simple apa nama ni, what do we call, pembantu pejabat maybe, sampai ke pengurus, ya, or top management. I know of a person, a very close friend, who started as apa nama tu, he's not even a clerk, bank clerk. He started as one of those lower employee lah, low level employee in a bank. Tapi he has risen up the ladder so much that now he is branch bank manager, from being apa nama equivalent to a mail room punya person lah, ya, pembantu pejabat sebagainya, and becomes a general manager. That's a kind of intra-generational mobility. Banyak berlaku dalam in almost everybody actually, ya, almost everybody, bergantung kepada keadaan lah, ya. If you for example, if you good in school, yeah, and you finish your college education, certainly when you started you may be, you may come from family yang pendapatannya rendah. In other words, in terms of yourself, you earn very little, ya, bekerja, dan kemudian later on 20 years later ataupun 30 years later you become a high rank officer or high ranking officer and you are earning higher. That's a form of generational mobility. Okay, alright. So dalam kehidupan kita lah, ya, bukan dibandingkan dengan orang lain. Okay, the intergenerational mobility pula adalah merujuk kepada perbezaan generasi terdahulu dengan generasi sekarang, sebagai contoh, ya. For example, our children, for example, yeah, how far children enter the same type of occupation as their parents or grandparents. Sama ada mereka masih mengerjakan ataupun melakukan kerja yang dilakukan oleh ibu bapa ataupun nenek mereka, right? Ataupun mereka setelah berubah, ya. So mobility across generations, for example, when a child who is born to parents with college degrees attains a graduate degree, yeah. So this is an example of intergenerational mobility, while the child achieves higher status than their parents. Okay, so yang college ini maksudnya bukan not a degree, just college, high school, and that's all that. Yeah. Jadi, so some parents didn't even like my generation. My parents did not have a chance to go to school because there was no school at that time when my parents were young, right? So they didn't have a chance. So like my father, he learned by himself. I don't know how, but he learned how to write and read, but didn't go to school. While as my generation, my brothers, my siblings, so on, we went to school, and so we are better off than our parents actually. Right? Itu intergenerational, between generation. Okay, paham semua kan? Intra dengan inter ni? Boleh ya?
Prof.
Boleh, Prof.
Ya, kalau ada soalan boleh tanya. Right. So hopefully all of you will be making an upward mobility, ataupun mempunyai mobility kalau dibandingkan dengan ibu bapa kamu, right? Can be in terms of occupation, can in terms of job, ataupun in terms of your income and so on. Yeah? That's your parents' expectation anyway, and my parents' expectation, and my expectation of my own children later on. They should be doing better, or at least, yeah. I am hoping they're doing better than me, of course. Okay, so itu inter dengan intra mobility, social mobility. The other form of or classification of mobility is known as structural mobility. Well, for most mobility, it is structural in nature, meaning that mobility occurs as a result of expansion ataupun result in expansion of better paid jobs, which is often the result of structural changes in the labor market. Perubahan kepada pasaran, pekerja. Right? For example, creating new kinds of jobs will also ended up ataupun result in structural mobility as well. From sebagai contoh, from industrialization, it improves social status of people in the country, and also it increases in education, increases the use of technology dan sebagainya. Okay. Ataupun another example is women working for pay. Kalau dulunya, in the old days I'm talking about, women mostly stay home and do housework rather than working outside and getting paid. So sociologists found that women's parents advised them to get education and employment before marriage. That's a final structural change, structural nature. Mobility disebabkan oleh struktur pekerjaan, struktur ekonomi dan sebagainya. Alright, so itu yang dinamakan sebagai structural mobility, structural mobility. And then, okay, what is meant by absolute social mobility? Absolute di sini maksudnya dalam bahasa Malaysia apa? Absolute. What is the term? Let me try. Absolute.
Mutlak ke sepenuhnya, Doktor?
I think sebenarnya boleh, sebenarnya ataupun mutlak, secara mutlak, social mobility. Okay, yang sebenarnya. Ini merujuk kepada the movement, the total observed movement of people between classes. Yang boleh nampak, kita boleh nampak, mereka ni berubah ataupun bertukar daripada kelas yang bawah kepada kelas yang atas. Contohnya, kalau dalam satu kawasan, regions economic development, for example, it provide education to social group, dengan adanya pendidikan, sistem pendidikan dan sebagainya yang ada di situ, so people have access, compared to people in the past who did not have any access to education. So through provision of educational facilities dan sebagainya, mereka ni dapat meningkatkan the literacy level ataupun tahap literacy kumpulan tersebut, dan juga eventually dari segi socio-economic status mereka. Itu perubahan yang telah membawa secara perubahan mobility secara absolute, because through education people can get better jobs, and better job meaning dengan gaji yang lebih tinggi, so they can earn higher income. So itu menyebabkan mereka tu bertukar status dari segi socio-ekonomi mereka lebih tinggi. Contohnya, building university in rural areas like Unimas. This place was rural part of Sarawak, Semerahan at one time. So disebabkan oleh adanya universiti yang di kota Semerahan sebagai contoh, banyak pembangunan lain yang berlaku as well. More shops, more facilities to cater for students' need, and at the same time communities around could also enjoy the benefit. Jadi apa yang kita lihat apa yang berlaku di Semerahan is an example of that, ya, absolute social mobility, not only for the students but also particularly for the community, surrounding community, because they also enjoy the benefits, from the development that takes place, which universiti itu sebagai pemangkin lah, more or less, kepada pertumbuhan ekonomi in surrounding areas, right? Otherwise, kalau tidak ada, you try to imagine what it would have been like now in this place. Maybe some part are still forest, some part are still maybe a farm and all that, tapi telah berubah. Jalan raya ada, you have so many shop houses, we have malls, even sama dan sebagainya, yang ada di situ, and we have bank, and facility lain yang turut serta, so that is example of absolute social mobility. Okay. Yang keduanya, which is the other type, yang kalau ada absolute itu mesti ada relative, kan? The relative social mobility di sini is more or less referring to an estimate of the chance of upward ataupun downward movement of a member of one social class in comparison with a member of another social class, jadi macam perbandingan lah, relative to each other. For example, the opportunities presented to middle class child who was born in a particular area of a United States, sebagai contoh, who might be predicted to attend a college level education and a maximum income of 80,000 per year, for example. Itu estimate of what the income that the person would be earning if he has a college education, for example. Jadi, so that is the bentuk relative social mobility, right? So in this case, is upward lah, upward movement of member of that social class. But once he has gained diberi peluang untuk to get a college degree ataupun a degree and so on, and the opportunity for him or her to earn better income, right? So secara relatif dibandingkan dengan seorang yang mungkin tidak ada peluang, sebagai contoh, ya. So that is a relative social mobility. Okay, so once again, this is some of the things that we talk about just now about social mobility in open system that we are talking about. Tetapi dalam closed system, benda tu agak susah, ya. The changes in terms of social mobility itu is quite limited. In fact, maybe it's almost impossible, ya. Very little opportunity from moving from one class to another, even if you have education as well, ya. Jadi itu dalam caste system kasta, in other words, ya. Alright, so alright, and then we talk about horizontal mobility, vertical mobility, and so on, ya. Ini just additional notes. Okay, there's some studies that has been done with regard to mobility or social mobility. For example, each society presents different opportunities for mobility depending on the system of values, ya. Contohnya di negara Barat, where Western capitalist countries are generally meritocratic. Meritocratic maksudnya berdasarkan kepada meritocracy, based on merit, merit, based on your ability, based on your education based on your experience, and those are merits. We're talking about meritocracy. Yeah? So in these countries, for example, social standing, like where you are, is based on such personal attributes as educational attainment, your income, and also occupational prestige. Right? So that's, and we are very much following that as well. Yeah. So the degree of mobility in Western capitalist society or states depend on the extent to which individuals have access to educational and also economic opportunities. Yaitu bergantung kepada peluang-peluang pendidikan, pelajaran, dan also when you finish school, finish your college education and so on, that you end up or you have access to economic opportunities as well. Ya, mendapat pekerjaan dan mendapat wages ataupun gaji. Right? So that's the modern or the capitalist system. Yeah. But if you look at one or two cases ataupun countries in the world where they may not they may not have this kind of system, where people are not allowed to go to school, for example, women are not allowed to work, women are not allowed to get college education. So adalah one or two countries now who which still practice this kind of thing. So in that kind of system, agak susah skill. Yeah, you can't really improve much. Yeah, because maybe it is the culture, yeah, of that particular country and so on. And so by contrast, countries where religious devotion is valued over economic standing, right? Mobility may depend upon individuals' access to religious rituals and also source of piety. Ya, jadi bergantung kepada peluang untuk terlibat dalam rituals keagamaan dan sebagainya. Right, so those who have like they to be difikirkan mempunyai status yang tinggi, ya, in this kind of situation. Yeah. So in different countries or regions, the extent to which individuals are socially mobile depends upon many factors, yeah, different factors yang boleh mempengaruhi seorang itu berpindah or moving from one social status to another. Okay, contohnya Anthony Heath dalam tahun 1981 dalam kajiannya mendapati bahawa mobility chances of women are severely limited by the lack of opportunities for female employees in professional and managerial occupations. Itu memang betul lah, up to the 1980s, ya, masih lagi, ya, and before that, ya, where women were not given much opportunities, ya, in terms of employment, in terms of professional and also managerial position ataupun occupations. Okay, jadi masih dominated by men. Yeah? So inter as well as intra-generational upward mobility is still the norm, but the scale are biased against women. Yeah, biased against women in terms of it upward mobility. Yeah? Right, intra as well as generational mobility. So bias against women, yeah, tends to be more for men and less for women. And also downward mobility, according to findings of some studies, is less common than upward mobility. Jadi kebanyakannya mobility sosial ini banyak berlaku upward, ya, rather than downward. And it is becoming a widespread phenomenon. Jadi memang berlaku di secara umum ya, mobility, upward mobility itu berlaku di merata dunia, ya, not only in the west but also happening in the east as well. Jadi walaupun jarang berlaku, tetapi pernah berlaku ya. So kenapa downward mobility itu berlaku? Ada sebab-sebab tertentu based on the findings of studies. Number one is due to redundancy. Redundancy, whereby, for example, middle-aged persons lose their jobs, yeah, and ataupun obtain work at lower level of income than before. Kerana apa? Kerana kerjanya sama ataupun redundant. Ya. Some jobs are taken over by machine, for example. Ya. Jadi so that's the kind of thing. Ya. Satu sebab mengapa downward mobility berlaku. Okay. Tidak mendapat peluang lah untuk bekerja dalam sektor di mana income-nya lebih tinggi. Another possible cause of downward mobility adalah disebabkan oleh psychological problems and anxieties. Ya, ini masalah individu lah. Whereby individual cannot sustain the lifestyle that they are accustomed to. Jadi mungkin mereka tak dapat adapt themselves. Ya, jadi mungkin psychologically. They face a lot of anxieties and so on, so they may not be able to go up, and in fact, going down actually. Yeah. Also, corporate downsizing as well can cause that. Corporate downsizing itu maksudnya di mana size ataupun tenaga pekerja dikurangkan, downsizing. Okay, so what happened to those who are diberhentikan, ya, yang diberhentikan, maka mereka ini tidak mendapat gaji, tidak ada pendapatan, ataupun ada juga yang menggunakan BSS Voluntary Separation System, BSS di mana mereka diberi pampasan sebanyak selama 3 bulan gaji, for example, ya, and then after that they have to look for jobs, which may in the end they may get certain jobs, but mungkin dari segi statusnya ataupun dari segi gajinya mungkin rendah. So that's this is when the person can actually mendapat downward mobility. Kalau biasa gaji besar, dulu sekarang ini gaji kecil, for example. There have been, in past years, the year 2000 and so on, there were banks, for example. A lot of banks, they merge, merging of banks and so on. And so they also downsizing in terms of the number of employees and so on. Itu menyebabkan keadaan di mana seseorang itu mungkin tidak mendapat pekerjaan ataupun pertukaran dari segi pekerjaan, ya, mungkin dulu sebagai bank manager, sekarang ini sebagai farmer, for example, ya, mungkin di mana pendapatnya mungkin kurang sedikit, ya. And also downward mobility is very common among single mothers as well, ya, single mothers with children and divorced women who do not have regular maintenance from their ex-husband. Kalau dulu masih kahwin, sebagai contoh, with a family, with a husband who was earning so much, dia tak ada masalah, ya, kewangan. Tapi selepas bercerai ataupun tidak ada lagi suami yang membantu, maka house income juga atau household income juga turun, ya. Okay, so these are people who probably suffer some kind of drastic drop, in terms of their standard of living. Yeah, all right. So those are some examples of downward mobility. But as I said just now, most of the mobility are upward. Yeah, upward. In modern society, yeah, where meritocracy is the name of the game. Yeah. With the belief that it is possible for anyone to reach the top if they work hard and persist. Ya, di mana kita mempunyai merit, based meritocracy, bukan dasarkan kepada apa namanya special rights and all that, but based on merits. Ya. Hold on, did I not on? Hold on, saya terlupa untuk on battery. Alright. Okay, so modern society believe that it is possible for anyone to reach the top if they work hard, yeah, and persistent. Yeah. Yet figures show otherwise. Very few succeed. The socio-economic structure of society is that a pyramid with only a few positions of power, wealth, and status. Jadi mananya kumpulan yang atas itu tidak dapat berkembang seperti yang teori lah, seperti teori. In other words, if you work hard, you can reach the top. But actually, what happened is there is limited position, ya, yang peringkat dekat peringkat atas, ya. Those who have the power, those who have wealth and so on. Dia macam piramid, semakin tinggi semakin kecil, ya, semakin kurang, ya, bilangan pekerja atau manusia, ya, at that particular level. Yeah. So the problem with some of these mobility studies is that where how open a society is usually cannot be seen for a generation. Yeah. So kadang-kadang tidak nampak, ya, tidak boleh nampak dalam satu generasi perubahan mobility itu mungkin tak dapat dilihat dalam satu generasi. Jadi this is where the mobility studies have its limitation, because they can see the movement between the generation, for example, between generasi A dengan generasi B. So what they observe, mostly what is happening within the same generation, ya, agak susah, ya, dalam sistem tersebut. And also another problem is the nature of jobs, ya, yang mungkin telah berubah, ya, nature of jobs have changed. Sebagai contoh, with the use of technology, with the use of machines dan sebagainya, maka jenis pekerjaan ataupun nature of job tadi mungkin berubah, ya, mengikut masa. Okay, so maybe your skill yang dulunya diperlukan, tapi later on it may not be needed ataupun being replaced by technology dan sebagainya. Okay. And also free and compulsory education, as well as industrialization, have opened up many venues to people from working classes. Right. Itu nampaklah dari kajian-kajian tersebut, ya, dengan adanya pendidikan, ya, yang terbuka kepada semua, right? Free and compulsory education plus industrialization, and some people have also have been able to achieve mobility melalui melalui perkawinan, ya, marrying through marrying a partner who may come from a higher social status. Contohnya, kalau suami ataupun istri dari kelas yang bawah, sebagai contoh lower social status, tetapi berkahwin dengan seorang yang berada pada higher social status. So that through marriage, he or she changes his or her status kepada tahap yang lebih tinggi. Alright, contohlah kahwin dengan anak orang kaya, kan, jadi boleh berubah, ya, serta merta selepas kahwin kepada status yang lebih tinggi. Okay. So some other people are endowed with exceptional talents, yang mungkin ada talent-talent tertentu sebagai penyanyi, sebagai musician, ataupun kalau di negara luar, di Western countries, if you're good in sport, you can earn a lot of money. Yeah. Look at the footballers now, yeah, yang pemain bola sepak. Look at the artists, musicians, penyanyi, right? And this kind of people, they earn a lot of money because of these exceptional talents that they have. Yeah? They're paid so much. Okay, gaji macam I don't know, maybe sampai, let's say 200 or 500,000 per week gaji footballer, pemain soccer di England. You know, we're talking about weeks, itu gaji kalau kita di sini mungkin gaji kita 4-5 tahun they earn in just 1 week or 2 weeks. That's because they have this talent, ya, yang di mana orang pun sanggup membayar, ya, talent tersebut. Ataupun winning a lottery ticket, or luck like winning a lottery, mungkin beli RM1 dapat RM1 juta. That will be something that change one's life. Yeah. Okay. And also, evidence shows that in socially mobile society, people can afford to expand on luxury products, leisure activities, and holidays. Jadi mereka bolehlah ambil cuti, pergi luar negara, you know, buy luxury goods and so on and so forth. Bagi orang yang mereka yang berada dalam socially mobile society. Yeah? So if they can achieve higher status, they earn more money, they can do that. Ya. Itu mengikut kajian daripada Paul Salve 1993. So that's for the topic on social mobility. Any question on that topic? Ada soalan?
No, Prof.
So far, so good.
So far, so good, Prof.
Okay.
Maybe no.
Perkara baru kah ataupun pernah tahu berkenaan dengan social mobility?
Baru.
Something new?
Ada yang tahu, ada yang
Tahu
baru.
tapi tak detail.
Okay, when you talk about it, tahulah kita kan. Tapi dari segi konsepnya mungkin melihat sebagai satu konsep baru, tapi benda yang kita lalui, ya, kita yang pernah dengar ataupun pernah baca dan sebagainya. But it's interesting, ya, to know what social mobility and how one can achieve it, ya, in life. Okay. Any comment? Any other comment? Kita ni we're going to the second segment of our lecture on poverty and inequality. Tak ada? Kalau tak ada, kita move on lah, so that we can, the earlier we finish, the earlier we stop. Tak payah nak sampai pukul 5 pun hari ini, ya. Alright, so okay, so poverty and inequality, sebab ianya ada kaitan dengan isu social mobility tadi. Ya, kalau one way for us to improve our social status adalah if we can escape from poverty, ya, untuk mendapat gaji yang tinggi, untuk mendapat pendapatan yang lebih tinggi. That's one way to improve our life. Yeah. So poverty is not a new phenomenon. Memang dari dulu, I mean, human beings started as poor in the old days anyway, right? It's only when during the feudal system, you know, that orang yang kaya adalah orang yang berpangkat raja dan sebagainya, ya, kuncu-kuncunya. Tapi after the Industrial Revolution, mulalah ya kekayaan itu berkembang kepada masyarakat lain, ya, particularly for those who are what is known as industrialists, ya. So the middle class group semakin berkembang. Okay, so it is not something new, ya. Poverty has been there, ya, since the beginning. Tapi cumanya dari segi percentage of people who are poor telah berubah, ya. A lot of people now has improved a lot in their life, as we have seen earlier on through dua perkara yang penting tadi, ya, in modern society, education and also employment, right? So, for example, in 1889, Booth ataupun Charles Booth, he published a study which showed a third of Londoners, orang yang tinggal di bandaraya London, were living in dire poverty. So that was berapa tahun tu? Just more than 100 years ago lah. Just more than 100 years ago, right? People in London were poor as well. So Booth suggested that poverty can be drastically reduced by practical programs of reform and welfare. Itu melalui reformasi, bukan politik, ya, welfare and also some form of reform, ya, dalam sistem pentadbiran dan sebagainya. Ya. Okay, so people in the following categories, according to studies, those people who are likely to be living in poverty. Number one, of course, if you're unemployed, unless you're born to a rich family, if you're unemployed, you tend to be poor, right? Because you don't earn income. Yeah. Another group are those people who ada kerja tetapi not secure, yeah, in terms of the job. Either they're working part-time ataupun kerja dalam pekerjaan yang kurang not secure, ya. Sekejap ada, sekejap tidak ada, sebagai contoh, ya. For example, if you're working for a contract, for example, once the contract finished, then you don't have any job, ya. Tidak ada toke pun tidak ambil kerja lagi, ya. So it's a kind of insecure jobs. Ataupun the likelihood also are people with large families, yeah, members of large families have the tendency, yeah, to be poor as well, yeah. The old and sick, yeah, yang sakit, yang tua, also people with likelihood to be in poverty, the disabled, and also single mothers, yeah, and the indigenous people of the interior. Now, these are people who are likely to be living in poverty. Okay, actually, I get my notes from the other course that I'm teaching, which is the course that you guys will be taking later on your second year, development economy. I will be teaching you because I will be retiring in a few months' time, ya. So jadi itu khusus yang pernah ajar untuk beberapa tahun yang lepas lah. Termasuk tahun ini, this semester I'm still teaching that course as well. Right, so poverty and inequality, there are criticisms being put forward concerning the stratification system that is mobile, right? For example, it is obvious that despite the existence of free education, masih lagi, ya, existence of wide inequalities in education. Kenapa? Kenapa ramai yang tak dapat pendidikan walaupun ianya free? Okay? If you look at in our situation, I think it's quite obvious lah. Walaupun ada pendidikan, kalau kita lihat sebahagian di kawasan pedalaman, masalah yang dihadapi macam-macam, ya. jalan raya kadang-kadang tidak ada, rumah, bangunan dan sebagainya, uzur, apalagi tidak ada clean water supply, tidak ada electricity. Sekarang ini isunya tidak ada line internet, kan? Those are things, ya. Jadi nampak inequalities, ya, in getting good education, ya. Walaupun education is supposed to be free for all, at least until sampai ke tingkatan 5, ya. It's almost free education now. Okay, so many people who are from working classes as well as from the ethnic minority are unable to achieve higher education because of certain disadvantages they are facing. Ya, disebabkan oleh lack of social capital, lack of ataupun masalah language problems, ataupun they can't afford to pay for private tuition, ataupun untuk membeli buku dan sebagainya. Ya, jadi masalah basically is they don't have the means, ya, as well, ya, to get good education. Okay, sometimes they just can't send their children to school because of poverty. So, okay, jadi itu masalah yang dihadapi. So, if you are a policy maker, then how do you solve this problem? How do you get rid of this problem to make sure that people will improve their life? Yeah, moving from poverty to a certain higher level of social status in society, for example. Right. Okay. So. Right. So women, at the same time, women also face also facing obstacle, ya, masalah in achieving upward mobility in many spheres as well. Yeah, for instance, the existence of glass ceiling. I'm not sure if you have ever heard of this term, glass ceiling. Macam kita from first floor to second floor, di antara first floor second floor ada ceiling. It is a glass ceiling. You can see people in the top. People on the top also can see people in the first floor. Okay, but the problem is they know what's up there, but they have problem to access those highest position dekat tingkat 2 ataupun tingkat seterusnya. Ya, so the existence of glass ceiling can hinder them from having access to highest post within the organization's hierarchy. Right? Itu glass ceiling itu merujuk kepada more or less like what do you call this? Satu penindasan, bias, right, against women, for example, in terms of getting higher position and all that, right? Or have daily discrimination from their male counterparts at work. Alright, so itu apa nama konsep of glass ceiling tadi, yeah. But things are improving lah, yeah. Nowadays, that some women have reached, yeah, have gone beyond that glass ceiling tadi, boleh mencapai. Tapi the majority are still having that problem, right? So ethnic minority as well, also disadvantage in education, and also as a result of that, they tend to occupy the lower working class, ya, ataupun working class jobs, ya, yang di mana gajinya bukan lumayan, tetapi gajinya agak kecil atau rendah dibandingkan dengan pekerjaan yang memerlukan skills ataupun pendidikan dan sebagainya. Okay, so women tend to be poor because of that. At least kurang-kurangnya lah dari segi relatifnya, kalau bukan dari segi absolute poverty. Ya, At the same time, ethnic minority groups, these are also another group of people in society who are likely to be poor because of their disadvantage, having no education or poor education, and so inability for them to get better jobs, a high paid job. Okay, so why are the poor still poor? There's so many more or less theory. Yeah, one of the argument is the cycle of poverty argument. Yeah, cycle of poverty argument. This is in economics. Yeah, term. The cycle of poverty is the set of factors or events by which poverty, once started, is likely to continue unless there is outside intervention. Yeah, maknanya the tendency for one to be in that poverty group, yeah, because of where they are or how they are, unless something drastic, yeah, dari segi policy, dari segi strategi untuk memutuskan ataupun untuk menukar keadaan mereka. So when poor people do not have resources, that's one of the main reasons why they are poor. When they don't have the resources necessary to get out of poverty, such as financial capital, such as access to education, and so on. Yeah? Right, so the circle goes on. Yeah, sorry. So poor household have little food, unclean water, they don't go to school, and also that kind of condition leading to diseases, infections. They don't have access to energy and no tidak dapat pekerjaan. Boleh bekerja tetapi kuli-kuli sahaja, ya, contohnya. So they don't get high paid jobs, and also because of those conditions, their productivity tends to be low and therefore low income, yeah, among these poor people. Low income leading to low self-esteem, low self-esteem, and so many of these people are facing masalah high childbirth, ya, kadar kelahiran bayi yang tinggi, sick elderly, become more dependence, the young and also the old dependence on the dengan those able-bodied workers in the family. So this is the more or less the concept of cycle of poverty tadi, ya. Being poor, if there is nothing done to stop that cycle, it will repeat itself. Yeah. So we have tried, yeah. Ada beberapa strategi untuk membantu, but I think to some extent, yes, it has achieved some of its objective, but not in total. Ya, masih lagi ramai juga yang mereka yang berada dalam kumpulan miskin tersebut. Right? Providing clean water supply is one mean. Yeah? Providing access to school, that's a good policy as well. Yeah? Health services and so on, provided free. Right? Improve their skill in education so that they can improve their productivity. If they have high productivity, they will have higher income. That will improve their self-esteem and so on and so forth. Yes, any question?
Utang si jam malas bener.
Sorry? Bukan soalan, bukan komen juga.
Bukan soalan, sir.
Okay, ya. Ada soalan? Tak ada soalan.
So far, so good, sir.
Tak
Okay.
ada.
No, bro.
All right. Thank you. If it's good, then we go on. All right. Okay, so So the culture of poverty argument is that the culture of poverty is a concept in social theory, that exerts that the values of people experiencing poverty play a significant role in perpetuating, but they are not that word, perpetuating, meneruskan, their impoverished condition, dia keadaan yang kurang baik, sustaining ataupun menyebabkan the cycle of poverty itu repeated, ataupun berlaku dalam generasi tersebut. So it offers one way to explain why poverty exists despite anti-poverty program, the culture of poverty. Okay, so it's part of the culture, according to sociologists, yang menyebabkan despite all these strategies and anti-poverty program masih lagi berlaku, poverty ataupun kemiskinan di dalam masyarakat. The person who came out with the theory by the name of Oscar Lewis, he developed this theory, the culture of poverty, and according to him, he states that being poverty tends to create a way of living that becomes a culture of its own. Merupakan satu budaya, kata Lewis. So these cultures learn, shared, and socially transmitted as a behavior of a social group. Dipelajari, dikongsi, dan juga pass from one generation to another dalam kumpulan sosial tersebut. So he saw people living in this culture as a separate part of society. As a separate part of society, iaitu memang ada dalam sesuatu masyarakat. So he stated that the urban poor make little use of institutions seperti bank, hospital, museum, galleries dan sebagainya. Itu pemerhatian yang beliau buatlah. Mereka ini tidak mengambil kesempatan untuk menggunakan institusi tersebut untuk memperbaiki kehidupan mereka. So he argues that the poor segregate themselves from the mainstream society. Ini satu teori, mereka mengasingkan diri daripada the mainstream society. Okay. So he argues, Lewis rather, argues that once established, the culture of poverty tends to perpetuate itself from generation to generation because of its effect on children. Kesannya terhadap kanak-kanak. So by the time slum children are aged 6 or 7, they have more or less absorbed the values and attitude of their culture. Menerimanya sebagai budaya, satu budaya. And they are not psychologically geared, tidak cuba untuk mengubah, They're not psychologically geared to take full advantage of increased opportunities which may occur in their lifetime. Itu jadi satu teori lah. Teori mengapa kemiskinan itu masih ada, despite all the efforts made by the government to solve the problem of poverty. Right? Okay. Alright, itu yang dibuat oleh Oscar Lewis. And then there is this trickle down effects of kind of things lah, thesis ataupun teori. Ini satu teori economics, that claims benefits for the wealthy trickle down to everyone else. Adakah ianya berlaku ataupun tidak? Jadi maksudnya, kalau ada orang kaya di dalam negara, maka ianya akan apa nama it goes down, trickles down to the other levels dalam society, and so it benefits the benefits of health of wealthy tadi, kekayaan tadi akan turun ke bawah, akan mempengaruhi orang lain. Contohnya benefits dari segi tax cuts on businesses. Orang yang kaya semakin banyak pendapatan mereka, semakin besarlah juga potongan cukai. Right? So high income earners, capital gains and also dividends are taxable. The cuts. Jadi, so the more you gain, the more you earn, the more you pay in terms of tax tadi. So berdasarkan the trickle down thesis ini, trickle down theory mengatakan that the benefits from tax cuts, potongan cukai, capital gains and dividends, and even looser regulation and corporations and wealthy individuals would eventually flow down to benefit the middle to low income earners. Whether or not it happened or not, that depends lah. Yeah, maybe not directly in terms of dollars and cents, but those tax ataupun cukai itu, that's where the government gets its money anyway, yeah, funding for project and so on, yeah, wang yang digunakan peruntukan tahunan dan sebagainya, they get it from the tax, ya, ataupun cukai dan sebagainya, ya, capital gains tax, dividend tax dan sebagainya, and then spend on something else, to build hospital, to build roads, to build water supply dan sebagainya. All that's ini satu cara lah di mana the middle and low income groups would benefit from the wealthy people, right? So that kind of trickle down to the lower levels. Ada juga kebenarannya lah, but itu dari segi teori, ya. Dari segi teorinya sepatutnya begitulah, dapat keuntungan, dapat manfaat daripada if people are rich people are earning better, it trickles down to those other people as well. Tapi dalam keadaan sebenarnya ianya tidak berlaku, ya. It doesn't happen, ya. Not in fact. So why not? Why doesn't it work? Ada beberapa sebab. Pertamanya, cutting taxes for the wealthy often do not translate into increased rates of employment. This is where poor people can get better income lah. Sometimes it doesn't translate into that. In other words, number of employment still limited. Ataupun it doesn't translate into consumer spending. People are not spending money. I mean, among the rich people, people who earn so much, but they don't spend it on goods and services and so on. Yeah, so it doesn't benefit people. Instead, they save it somewhere in the bank and overseas and so on. Yeah, and also government revenues in the long term. Yeah, jadi tidak meningkatkan. Yeah. So instead, cutting taxes tadi ataupun potongan cukai tadi for middle and lower income earners will drive the economy through trickle up phenomena. Apa yang berlaku sebenarnya sebaliknya, ya, ini pemerhatian bahawa cukai yang diperolehi daripada middle and also lower income group, those are the one that actually help to drive the economy di dalam negara berkenaan. So it's not trickle down, but actually trickle up, moving upward. Yeah. So the added income for the wealthy, resulting from tax cut, will simply increase the growing income inequality contohnya di Amerika Serikat. Jadi itu menyebabkan isu inequality itu berlaku, di mana bertambah, ya, yang kaya menjadi kaya, yang miskin remain poor, and so on, ya, secara relatifnya. Kurang-kurangnya di Amerika secara relatif lah, walaupun ada orang yang miskin juga, some absolutely poor people, but many are relatively poor people as well. Okay, jadi so the trickle down theory doesn't necessarily work. Dari segi teorinya cantik, tapi in reality it has very little impact, ataupun tidak seperti yang dijangkakan. Right? So in other words, the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. And some countries too have welfare programs. Ya, ada program kebajikan, ya, welfare programs to help the poor in their own country, but critics argue that this makes the poor become dependent on welfare. Walaupun welfare itu diberi untuk membantu orang yang miskin, tetapi ada juga orang yang mengatakan ataupun mengkritik program tersebut kerana mereka mengatakan if we provide welfare, then the poor will not make effort to improve their own life. They will depend on the welfare, ya, ataupun bantuan berkenaan. But this is not quite true, ya, not quite true, kerana that was the perception, ya, satu ketika dahulu di Amerika mengatakan bahawa orang kulit hitam, the black people who are generally poor, who lives in the poor urban areas and so on, they do not have jobs, ya, tidak mendapat pekerjaan, they are less educated dan sebagainya. And di Amerika seperti juga di some of the Western countries lah, they have the welfare system where if you don't work, you don't earn, then you will be given welfare program, food, ya, dan sebagainya, enough, ya, for you to survive, ya, cukup. Ada voucher dan sebagainya untuk membeli makanan, you given every month and so on. So critics mengatakan bahawa, especially the whites lah in America, mengatakan bahawa this is not going to do good. Ya, mereka mengatakan bahawa that will make them become dependent, tidak mencari pekerjaan, tidak mau bekerja. Tetapi sebenarnya that was not true. Ya, yang sebenarnya the black people are always looking for job, but there is no ataupun peluang-peluang pekerjaan itu sama ada mereka tak dapat ataupun mereka tak layak. Yeah? So that's the problem. It's not that they want to be dependent on welfare. Tapi sebenarnya kerana mereka memang tidak mampu ataupun tidak berjaya untuk mendapat pekerjaan. Okay? So the teori yang mengatakan bahawa atau kritik yang mengatakan bahawa welfare itu tidak membantu, making people dependent on welfare is not quite true. Yeah, it's not quite true. Okay, so let's just recap a bit of what we have said today. So one social class, yeah, has a great influence on one's mental as well as physical health. Termasuk cultural values, termasuk life chances, ya, peluang dalam kehidupan kita. At the same time also it may influence our political affiliation, ya, parti mana yang kita ikuti ataupun sebagai ahli dan sebagainya, as well as one's family life as well. Okay, so in terms of physical and mental health, for example, death rates are related to access to medical care and nutrition. So people, for example, low-income earners do not eat well in terms of balanced diet. So dia access to medical care juga begitu, ya, because they are poor, so they have very difficulty to access good medical care services, particularly in America. Now sekarang di Amerika, the people are fighting maksudnya among the Democrats and also the satu lagi kumpulan, ya, Republicans. Republicans mostly belongs to people who are better off, well-to-do, yeah, people in the United States. Right, and then the Democrats, kebanyakan mereka tu juga terdiri daripada orang yang pendapatan rendah, poor, black, Hispanic, and so on. Yeah, the tendency for that to be Democrats. Jadi President Democrats, parti Demokrat, especially for example Barack Obama, dia hendakkan mengadakan sistem Medicare, ya, ataupun Obamacare they call that, ya, yang memberi kebaikan kepada semua rakyat, not only the rich but also accessible to the poor as well. Because in America, if you don't have medical insurance, it's difficult for you to access medical services, good medical services. Yeah, because if you pay out of your own pocket, not from the insurance, it's quite kind of very expensive. So many of these poor people, they just couldn't afford, and that's why they come up with this health policy kesihatan di bawah Presiden Barack Obama, supaya ianya diperluaskan kepada lebih ramai, ya, penduduk di Amerika, particularly the poor. Tapi yang Republican ini tidak suka, kerana apa? Kerana mereka mengatakan we pay the tax and the tax are being used to subsidize the poor and so on. That's the argument lah. Jadi itu sebab orang Republican tidak berapa suka dengan polisi Obamacare tadi. Right? Also, those who are mentally or physically masalah kesihatan, they're less conscious and less educated about nutrition as well. Yeah, those from the lower income group or the poor. So mental health is also affected by unemployment. Di mana if you don't have a job, that will affect your mental health as well. Yeah. So the threat of unemployment, dangerous and also heavy work, ya, and so on so forth, ya. Itu yang menyebabkan masalah mental, ya, bagi mereka ni, ya. Works which are dangerous, work which are heavy, and so on. Ya. So high income groups experience more stress and cardiovascular diseases. Ada juga, ya, masalah physical dan mental dia, are also associated with the high income group as well. Kerana apa? Kerana mereka ni mungkin cardiovascular disease are related to the state of inactive ataupun kurang aktif, ya, physically and so on, ya, stressful kind of jobs they're doing, juga menyumbang kepada masalah, ya, jantung, ya, di kalangan mereka of high income group tadi. So the values, ya, cultural values also differ between social classes. Studies have shown that working class families are more present time oriented. Sekarang sebagainya, ya, present time oriented, and look for immediate gratification. Itu untuk mendapat satisfaction or gratification immediately. Tapi for the middle class families, they defer those gratification ataupun satisfaction tadi, and are future oriented. They're not looking for immediate reward and so on. Yeah, they look for future reward ataupun satisfaction. So family values are also vary ataupun berubah ataupun berbeza among social classes as well. Nilai tadi. Yeah. And in terms of life chances, social class also determines one's life chances. Yeah. For instance, whether we'll be able to pursue studies abroad ataupun sebagainya, and to set up business and practice particular sports seperti golf dan sebagainya. Golf lah in particular. Higher classes have more latitude in the range of life chances or choices as compared to lower classes. Jadi lower classes tu life chances tu agak terhad, ya, agak terhad. So compared to the higher group tadi. Okay, so peluang-peluang untuk mendapat pekerjaan yang mana ganjarannya ataupun gajinya lebih lumayan dan sebagainya agak terhad ya, bagi lower classes tadi. So life chances and also values tidak sama. And in terms of political affiliation, people of higher classes are more likely to support political parties favoring free market economy. Ini macam di Amerika tadi lah. So those which do not levy taxes on high income group. Ya, bagi mereka tu lebih suka kalau high income group tu cukainya diturunkan instead of ditambahkan. On the other hand, lower classes are ready to support political parties with a socialist orientation. Jadi ini tadilah political affiliation, the higher classes tadi, for example, most of them are belonging to the Republicans, while as the lower classes tend to support the Democrats. Itu the dual political party system yang ada di Amerika. In terms of family life, lower classes have generally large families, right? So childbearing practices also differ, and in lower classes also they don't have enough time to devote to children. With higher classes tend to closely supervise the child. Not only that, because of the number of children per family between the lower classes and the higher classes mempunyai bilangan anak yang few ya, yang kurang karena dibandingkan dengan bilangan anak bagi the lower classes tadi. So, of course, in terms of supervision, definitely there are differences between the two classes. Right. So the higher classes supervise the children or their child closely and also encourage creativity. Hence, privilege tends to beget privilege. Privilege akan mengeluarkan ataupun dikaitkan dengan privilege yang lain. Right. Okay, so in summary, we can say that social stratification dalam society, we'll talk about this later on. Actually, ada lagi topik on stratifikasi selepas ini ya. Is a system by which society ranks categories of people in a hierarchy. Jadi it stems from social rather than individual factors. So different from stratification yang kita akan belajar nanti, which I'm supposed to cover this earlier, but I follow the new system. Jadi, for example, we have the slavery, we have the estate, caste, and also class system, which we'll learn later on. But these are also yang apa nama tu we talked about last week actually. Tentang the different classes and so on. Okay, so that's a form of stratification dalam sesuatu system. Yeah. So social mobility refers to the movement of individuals from one social position to another. Jadi kita telah melihat tadi beberapa bentuk, ya. So in an open system, kita boleh, ya, in other words, people can move from one class to the other, but not in a, for example, in a caste system ataupun dalam slavery ataupun estates, ya. So there are several types of social mobility that we have seen later on: the vertical, the horizontal, the lateral, the intra-generational, the intergenerational mobility, structure mobility, dan sebagainya. Ya. So stratifications raised widely on also on held belief. Jadi bergantung kepada kepercayaan kepada nilai. Ya. So I will. This is the, remember talking about Marx and Weber earlier on, talking about class, yeah. So membership in a particular social class definitely affects one mental and physical health, cultural values, life chances, and so on. Yeah. Okay. This one we mentioned a bit about this, but I'm going to talk more about this later on. Yeah. The structural functioning perspective, the social stratification system. Ya, nanti saya akan bincangkan. This is supposed to be future topics actually. In previous years, this is supposed to have been discussed earlier on. Okay. So I'll skip this one. Yeah, this is not something that we need to discuss now. Alright, jadi itu saja untuk topik kita hari ini, specific on social mobility and also on issue of poverty and inequality. Okay, so later on, as I said, we'll talk more about the stratification, in my earlier notes, I deal a lot with Weber's class system, Marx, and so on. Tetapi tahun ini saya ikut koordinator punya outline, jadi saya tukar sikit, ya, less detail on that particular aspect. Okay. So this is the end. Any questions or comments in our discussion today, our class today?
Prof, this is Emmanuel. I have a question here about trickle down punya tesis. Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. So in terms of economic, kalau cukai tinggi, so memang investor or businesswoman akan lari daripada sebuah negara tersebut. But in Malaysia, Prof, so beza antara M20 dengan T20, dia punya cukai macam mana? Is it T20 higher or M20 more higher? M40 higher?
M40 will be higher because it's based on the total income per year. So the higher the total income, the higher will be your tax bracket. Contohnya M40 maybe some M40, let me see. B40 memang tak kena cukai lah, sekarang ini tak perlu bayar cukai. M40 perlu bayar cukai. Itu bergantung kepada jumlah pendapatan tahunan. Right? There's certain, for example, the first, let's say, the first, I forgot, is it the first 50,000 or the first 70,000 or something like that? Rate dia mungkin 12%. And then earning beyond that, baki dia, over the 70,000, for example, the rate dia akan berubah kepada contohnya 15% dan sebagainya. Ya. So that's how tax system work in Malaysia. Di bawah RM3,000 sebulan tidak ada cukai, zero income tax. Right? So they don't have to pay tax. So the B40, I'm afraid majority, unless they have some other business and so on, if that depends on the salary dan sebagainya, tidak akan dikenakan cukai. But be careful jugalah. People who are selling nasi lemak ataupun nasi ayam, they are earning more than the B40 group definitely. Dia punya income bulan-bulan sampai berapa? 20,000, 30,000. Tapi masalahnya, oleh kerana mereka ni merupakan more or less di non-formal sector, boleh dipanggil non-formal sector because they're not registered sector, the economy, so they're not taxed. Yeah, they can escape from paying taxes. Okay. Tapi ada juga yang the inland revenue people, they were puzzled as to why they know that they are earning so much. So what they do is, dia 2-3 orang, the officers, they take turn. Ya, daripada pukul 7 pagi hingga ke let's say pukul 2 petang. And see how much chicken rice, for example, was sold by the particular person yang menjual dekat gerai itulah. Right? So they know how many plates of chicken rice yang dijual. One plate of chicken rice maybe about 6 ringgit. So if they see that the person within a day they jual sampai 100 plates of rice, meaning at least 600 ringgit per day. From the tolak input dan sebagainya, they still get maybe about 400, 500 a day. Tolak labor and so on, they still get a lot. But the point is, among paid workers, paid employment, agak senang sikit ya untuk menentukan berapa cukai yang diperlukan. Tapi for the informal sector, selain daripada industri, selain daripada kilang sebagainya, which is registered ataupun kedai, some of these are difficult to assess how much the income and therefore how much they should be taxed and so on. Right. So to answer your question, your comment earlier on regarding businesses, if they are particularly for foreigners, they are particular. If that's why the tax structure, it can be attractive. It can be something that may discourage them. Yeah. So for them, if they find that they can get, they can go to another place where the income tax structure is better for them, they will go there. Jadi mungkinlah orang tak mau, mungkin dia lari, whatever. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, but among people in the country, we don't have that much choice. Cuma choice lah through election lah. Kalau tak suka dengan policy government, then one way to change adalah mengubah kerajaan. Itu yang diharapkan ya, supaya boleh mengubah polisi dan sebagainya. Right, so tax structure mengikut jumlah pendapatan. The more you earn, the more you have to pay in terms of that. Tapi ada maksimum lah. I think in our case, I think it's 21% maximum tax. Contohnya, walaupun you, let's say, gaji seorang yang mencapai, I don't know, maybe 120 or 150,000 a year, may have to pay up to 21% tax. 150,000 a year dan sebagainya. So it's also with people who are earning 1 million ataupun more than that. Yeah, the tax will be 21%. Ataupun I don't know lah. I mean, mungkin ada lebih daripada itu, but I don't think it's more than 23%. So that's the maximum. The lowest is berapa? Saya pun lupa. Lowest could be, I don't know, maybe 7%, 8%, yeah, of the income. All right. So yeah, that's my answer to your question.
All right. Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Any other questions, comment? Yeah, so if there is no more question, then we'll stop here. Right, so tada,
No,
Ada.
Prof.
ada, okay. Jadi
Tak
saya
ada.
berhenti sini lah, kita berhenti sini. Cukuplah 2 jam. I think it's very long time for an online lecture. Yeah, so thank you very much. I'll see you again next time. By the way, I will update you on the your midterm exam. So far belum dapat kata putus daripada coordinator, but it is on the minggu ke-8, which is next week actually. Yeah, so be prepared. Minggu ke-8, I think it's going to be Saturday next week. But I will update you kalau ada perubahan. Ya. Dan make sure, very important, make sure that you registered on Unimas exam elite. You have to make verify that you are a student and you belong to the class. Right? Kalau tidak, kamu tak dapat sit for the exam. You cannot access the exam question later. It happened to my student not last year, but 2 years ago. By the time the exam was conducted, she was having problem. And it was Saturday. Saturday ni masalah dia, staff from the, for example, from the unit perpesaan tu, ataupun CAM, call it, Center for Academic, I forgot what it stands for. That unit, mereka cuti ujung minggu. So nasib baiklah seorang tersebut sanggup, one of the staff sanggup membantu, but she was late for like 40-45 minutes, before everything was settled. So make sure that you try to visit. I don't know if you have seen the Unimas Elite page. Pernah tengok kan?
Pernah, Prof.
Okay, then it's no problem for you kalau pernah. So make sure that you verify. Once you make verification, no problem untuk access exam question. Okay, so itu saja. Thank you very much. Ya.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Prof.
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 Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
All right.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Okay. Okay.